of you!
For the Emperor!
Well, I suppose that went about as well as we probably could have hoped it would. I wonder if there is some way you can talk down Nihil. Though I suppose it's not just her you'd have to talk down. It's Pask, too. He seemed pretty gung-ho about ending this with bloodshed. Oh, Pask, buddy, what are we going to do with you? Honestly, I'm not sure this whole thing's going to resolve in a way that really works out for anyone involved. But, you know, at the very least, we'll have weakened Kalkazar a bit, removed another member of his retinue, weeded out a few more of his soldiers, and potentially secured a weapon we can use against him. I mean, assuming we actually keep Escados, of course. I suppose that's going to come down to a number of different factors. But we'll worry about that once we've dealt with Brass Whisper. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start clearing ads. Can't imagine this fight will take more than maybe 2 rounds tops.
The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all.
Abel? That might not be the best place for you, but, you know, you do you. Let me just set these zones. All right, let's go ahead and start working on the left. Abby's up next, so we're basically just setting up for him. Nice, nice. Might as well go for a full AoE while we're at it. Less effective than I'd hoped, but we'll go ahead and double down. I suppose that might actually be the side dampeners. We did glimpse those on approach. Come on in, Heinrichs. Nah, no easy kills. So we'll just do this. That works. And Abby. With an ult on tap. Okay. My goodness, yeah, this really is going to be a short fight. Let's lock down Nile. Or Nail. Couldn't really decide how that one was supposed to be pronounced. Nihil felt more appropriate, because it fits with, you know, denial and nihilism. Alright, you're too tough for melee. Let's clear left. Oh, shoot. Right. Can only do that once per turn. That's fine. We'll just keep wailing. And Val. You should have a bit more luck with our doubtful Redoubt.
I'll make it happen. On it. The best defense is a good offense.
Ping Nile. Minor damage, but the important thing is to start stacking those debuffs. Nice, nice. And Heinrichs. We'll do the same thing we just did with Abelard. Left clear.
Everyone, step aside. I need a foothold.
Sorry. He's fine. And then there was one.
I'll see to it personally.
Ulfar. Slightly awkward position for you, but we can still lay down suppressing fire. Lovely. And point blank. That should theoretically avoid friendly.
one can do this better than a warrior of the All-Father!
We'll take it.
When Fenris is in battle, oceans bleed.
Oh my. Nile Phase 2. Though now positioned to be an even easier target. Let's lay down more fire. Right.
Low momentum.
Fall back. There we go. Yeah, that 10% felt a bit weird. Turns out it was just some weirdness from him being a 2x2 oversized unit. You know, from front left, he had clear line of sight, but from front right, it did clip through the edge of that giant console.
You bite like a pop!
Nah, hold off. Pask's about to finish this anyway. Which is narratively appropriate. Wow, that really worked out for us.
Running binary override.
Stop. Thou shalt not create a schism. Thou shalt not suffer a heretic. Like the hand of a deity, the mechadendrite extends over Nile, lying convulsing on the deck.
I did not want this, Tech Sister, but the procedure must be completed. Farewell.
His claw carefully removes a mangled, soot-covered neural cogitator from Brass Whisper's head. The tech priest shudders, and peace descends over her disfigured face. The ghost-like figure in red approaches you cautiously. Enormous, sad eyes look at you from his ascetic face. Doubt has been shunned. The dominant of the prejudice has ended. Abel's voice resonates with the same otherworldly profundity that has filled Pascal's vox.
This statement is true. Only imagination and judgment are left. Our directive is to conceptualize the future we desire, then bring it into being.
The tech priest looks the same as before, yet different. His morbid aura of martyrdom has given way to a calm and powerful halo of purposefulness. His mechadendrites move with the grace of an inscrutable dance. The scars left by the loss and doubt have turned into dark threads on a radiant body, confident in its next step. And his voice, a voice born in the nuclear font of a star and hardened in the cold of the interplanetary void. Yeah, I don't know how to sound like that. Also, I don't know how to feel about how this all played out. Pask himself really kind of hit it on the head there, where he highlighted that he is making some pretty major judgment calls here with nothing but imagination to back him up. He literally just killed his doubts. As far as metaphors go, that's not exactly subtle. Not to mention, of course, he's also missing, what? Faith? Logic? Paranoia? Though, you know, maybe he could live without that one. Maybe if they'd called it pragmatism or self-preservation or something. But regardless, let's tread carefully here. We don't really want to encourage him one way or the other until we get a better idea of what he's apt to do on his own. Again, I really do find myself wondering if there was some way that we could have theoretically talked one or both of them down and resolved this, you know, without one or the other having to die. Given the setup, it really does feel like Pask would benefit from having a more fleshed out perspective. Though I suppose that's technically the role that we're supposed to play. The problem there being that, again, I'm honestly not really sure which direction we should be nudging him in. Short term, though, option 2 and 3 both feel like tacit endorsements of what he's done, so we'll stay in neutral with option 4. Pask, I'm sorry about your tech sister. I mean, I didn't necessarily agree with everything she had to say, but I do wish we'd just been able to talk it out.
So am I.
The tech priest's inscrutable gaze is fixed upon the body once inhabited by Pascal's shared mind. The voice from the box is like the tolling of bells, summoning a host of angels.
I declare the period of ignorance over, and will resume execution of the general algorithm. Integrity has been rehabilitated to a satisfactory degree. Memory access has been restored. I remember everything.
Pascal turns to you and gives you a long look, brimming with quiet elation. May the shattered mirror reassembled reflect light wholly anew. So what exactly are you now? Are you still Pask, or are you Amranat?
This statement is true.
Pascal's stock phrase sounds more complex and more human than before.
I carry within me his memory and his logical foundation. I am us. I am Amranat.
Abel points at Pascal's mechadendrites and says, softly, "They have always remembered. They have always preserved." Wow, okay.
Thank you for the path we have walked.
As Pascal bows, his thin shoulders seem to take an eternity to descend from the heights that his mind has soared to.
And I am sorry about what happened to Theodora.
So you did know her? Amranat was part of her retinue?
We were allies. She entrusted me with studying a trophy she had obtained.
The voice from the box grows quiet and hoarse, as though coming from a distant past.
We, Amernot, discovered the basic ways of communicating with it. We developed a weapons-grade strain of tech blight for her. It terrified me. So I developed its antidote, Eschatos, the concept for the ultimate interruption of machine life. That was why every one of our shards was located so close to you, into the Von Valancius domain. We were counting on her finding us, and extending us her aid and protection.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. If Theodora hadn't died, then her next destination was going to be the Raikadi sector, which was where both Pascal and Abel were located. So what exactly was, or is, Amernot? Is it a unificate, like Axiomantha? Or something else entirely?
A higher form of intelligence. A collective of computational tools, freed from the limitations of individualism and the aberration that stem from having a distinct personality. And at the same time, a collective bound by a single set of principles that are of equal importance to all. Being pure of faith in the Omnissiah, and acting for the benefit of humanity.
Yeah, how'd that work out for Paranoia? Wow, so I guess the whole unificate thing really was just a red herring. Interesting.
We were different. Each one of us considered the prospects of such an experiment. But I was the first to gain the resolve to attempt it. Niall joined the project to effect control over it. She regarded the experiment as dangerously close to a blasphemous act of creation. The Conclave had ordered her to end my research, but she became convinced of the possibility of its success. Niall reinforced our union with the prudence of Demence, a meticulous and reserved auditor, a danger seeker. I strengthened our genius with the fiery faith of the warrior Tarzus, in order to banish the shadows of false ideas. Axiomantha, who teetered on the brink of becoming a Malotech, was chosen by us for her loyalty to ruthless logic and her cold scrutiny, or indeed dissection, of our theories.
And, yeah, referring to Demence as prudence definitely makes him sound more palatable.
Abel.
Pascal turns his gaze towards his last surviving tech comrade.
A quiet genius. The cage genius of imagination. The abstract artist of code. His talent completed the collective and made it a whole.
Sure. So now that you have your memories back and the rest of the collective is dead, where do we go from here?
A judgment must be passed. Should the secret of Eschatos exist, or be shunned as a false path? And should I exist? That is, we, Amernot.
A soft binaric melody, full of sadness and solemn resolve, pours from Abel's vox. You have not heard it before. You would never have thought the binaric language could be so comprehensible to one who does not bear the mark of the Omnissiah's iron blessing. Pask, it's not that I don't have faith in you, bud, but, are you sure you're thinking clearly right now? How can Amernot exist if 4 out of the 6 minds it was comprised of are now gone.
Everything Amarnot was at the moment of the disconnection has now awoken in my mind. We are at the point where we stopped, but the Amarnot Collective was envisioned as a dynamic structure. We need new minds. If I bid you to follow, will you come with me, tech comrade?
Pascal waits for an affirmative nod and says,
We will be the core.
I assume you're saying that to Abel, not me.
The collective can be replenished with worthy minds from among those aboard the Hermetico. Sincerity is present in their motives and faith. They are intuitively capable of comprehending the notion of discontinuing the cycle. Our collective memory can compensate for their lack of knowledge and memory of the rites. Restoration is possible.
Pascal, or what used to be known as Pascal, makes a sacred gesture, and green sparks run down his mechanical arm.
But the judgment must be passed first.
Oh, here we go. Sure, I get that. Just out of curiosity, what judgment are you currently leaning towards? Pascal casts a sorrowful gaze at Niall's body. His voice is full of wisdom and weariness.
We have seen many things over the decades. We have seen true corruption, the distortion of the Omnissiah's design. Kiava Gamma, Euphrates too. The planets of Xenos passed into oblivion. Our own crimes. The darkness grows. There must be a fire to burn it away.
I don't know, bud. I mean, I'm all for protecting humanity, but it sounds like you're proposing a crusade. And I do have some general issues with that sort of thing. Though on the other hand, I can definitely see where you're coming from. The graceful dance of the mechadendrites takes on a more energetic, wilder pattern.
I am leaning toward the idea that Eschatos is necessary, that Amarnot is necessary, that the cycle must be discontinued.
You know, Pask, this would be a lot easier to follow if you and Niall weren't using the same exact turn of phrase to describe two very different solutions. Because if I'm parsing this correctly, you want to end the cycle of stagnation with the Adeptus Mechanicus by using Eschatos to fight their outdated doctrine and usher in new methods. Whereas she wanted to end the cycle of infighting by destroying Eschatos and returning to standard Imperial dogma. How about you, Abel? What are your thoughts on all this? Abel lowers his eyes and is silent for a while, then says,
We have made great sacrifices. This statement is enigmatic. I request an expanded interpretation.
Pascal looks demandingly into Abel's eyes, but he turns away. Yeah, he didn't really endorse any particular choice. He just kind of expressed general regret. I think he's just regretting all the bloodshed that the Amarnot experiment has caused, regardless of its ultimate outcome. Not something to dwell upon, I suppose, but certainly something we should all learn from. If your goal is to truly do things for the betterment of humanity, then just keep in mind that every judgment you make, whether for yourself or for others, will have an ongoing ripple effect. Consequences, intended or otherwise. Abel gives you a sideways glance and says ruefully,
So much loss.
Pascal nods with an air of authority and says,
I thank you both. The information has been noted and submitted for analysis.
Say we were to destroy Escatos. What exactly would that mean? How would you make sure it doesn't come back again? A shower of sparks bursts from the power unit on Pascal's shoulders, burning holes in his scarlet hood.
An act of self-sacrifice. I will destroy the data concerning this technology and the methods of reproducing it. I will burn it out of my neural circuits, along with everything that led to its creation. Amernot would be no more. Only a damaged and incomplete shard of him would remain. Pascal Hanuman.
Which wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing. I mean, Pascal's the one I've come to know, not Amernot. Abel's okay. Though, that does beg the question, would there be a way for us to both retain Escatos, but also Pascal? I mean, I'm not saying I'd want to hold on to Escatos long-term, but if it is the solution to the weapon that Calcazar now controls, there are grating overtones of pain in the god's voice.
So great is the temptation to preserve my personhood and yet hold on to the power of Escatos. My own thirst to yield to that temptation is what allows me to pass the judgment. Escatos must be foregone. One cannot possess it without one's mind becoming depraved. Then the existence of the Amernot Collective will sooner or later lead to its destruction, and the concentration of the innermost secrets in the hands of one. This is unacceptable.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you just pulled like a complete 180. If I'm reading this correctly, you're now saying that you believe that even the Amernot Collective wouldn't be able to responsibly control Escatos, and that it has to be destroyed. So you've now flipped to Niall's side, at least regarding the anti-tech equation, which I can either agree with, or I can kill you to stop, which I don't think I would do. Bit weird they pulled all of our other choices away, but, yeah, look, I mean, okay. I was really kind of on the fence with it either way, but if this is what you've set your mind to, I certainly won't stop you. Pascal throws back his head, and the power brimming in his voice rushes forth like a flood. The tech priest's booming voice is heard throughout the ship, echoed by every vox speaker on every deck.
I peered into the vortex of time and saw dark omens. I saw that my tech comrades and I were trapped in the cycle, spiraling toward nothingness. I saw inevitable doom at the end of that trajectory, and rebelled against it. In accordance with the machine god's commandment, I have crafted a tool with which to implement my design. In accordance with his commandment, I have developed a plan and analyzed it. Now I will act. By my power as an Archmagos, I hereby effect a restoration and revive the Amernot Collective. The servants of the Omnissiah need a Messiah who will continue their cycle. And I will be that Messiah. I am him.
Look, Pask, buddy, I'm ready to back up any choice you make, but I'm getting some real mixed messages here. But sure, yeah, let's see where this goes. The Actgen tribesfolk, the ignorant fosterlings of the Omnissiah, slip into the observatorium hall like silent shadows. Led by an intuitive grasp of the significance of the moment, They automatically gather in a circle, heeding Pascal's summons. Or perhaps, at this point, someone else's. You hear echoes of their other voices and Pascal's, a touch of Demence's anxiety, of Tarsus's zeal, of Axiomantha's pensiveness. They all fuse into a new voice, full of wisdom and confidence in his prerogative to lead. The voice of Archmagos Amarnot. And this voice takes hold of the lips of your companion's new brothers and sisters. The ancient tech priest turns his gaze toward you and says, with gravitas,
Let the cycle be discontinued.
And it is done. Okay, well, I mean, for better or worse, we do appear to have completed Pascal's quest. I don't know if we did the right thing. I mean, honestly, it felt like he was pivoting pretty rapidly there towards the end, cycling through potential solutions. But, you know, as uncertain as I might be about this particular one that he seems to have settled himself on, there are definite pros, at least short term. I mean, we have a powerful new ally. We have a potent weapon to use against Kalkazar. It's really just the potential long-term ramifications that I worry about. Though I will say, of all the 180s he just pulled there, I think the one I like the most is the fact that he now accepts his primitive tribal brethren. Vid Capture Relay. Whenever the wearer's allies under the effect of the Joint Analysis ability hits a target with an exploit, the wearer gains +5 perception. Not terrible, but we did drop Joint Analysis during our last round of respecs. Overcharge Gloves. Whenever the wearer uses Overcharge on a plasma weapon, that attack ignores enemy deflection and deals extra damage. Actually pretty decent, but we've got Pask locked in the demo gloves. Enhanced Data Tether Mask. When the wearer uses Machine Spirit Communion, their intelligence is increased by +5 for each affected target until the end of combat. Okay, well there we go. That is something we might actually use. And the Voltageist Field Emitter. The wearer suffers less impact and energy damage. When the wearer suffers impact or energy damage, the attacking enemy suffers minor power damage. Oh, that would explain why we were just randomly taking damage during the second phase of the fight. No, that's fun, but not really useful. Sadly, the damage is just too trivial to really make much of a difference when we're playing on max difficulty.
Keep your wits about you.
Any enemy weak enough to be significantly impacted by it would be so weak as to pose a trivial threat to begin with. You know, in retrospect, I bet, much like many of the other companions, Pask's ultimate decision was shaped in part by various flags we set throughout the rest of the campaign as we interacted with him on various other story beats. But we must have been, like, right on the line, because I can't think of any other reason he would have seemingly pivoted quite so much during the final conversation. I mean, unless I misinterpreted that, he just straight up had an epiphany halfway through the conversation, acknowledging that Escados was too dangerous for anyone to retain, including Amarnot, since Amarnot's inherent nature would lead to its inevitable downfall. You know, a rare moment, I think, of real self-reflection from Pask. Though, who knows, maybe this new group will work out a bit better. We've got Chief Castus there. No Tech Shaman Linkit. Wow. The most faithful among them, and he didn't even make the cut. Poor guy. Well, I suppose we'll always have Pref to keep him company. I am at least happy for Abel. Lickit, you over here, bud? Oh, no. How about over here? No, they're all gone. Interesting. I wonder if the new Ambernaut is just the entire tribe, as opposed to 6 like it was before. We'll see what Pask has to say about it. I do look forward to seeing his exact justification as to why he made the decision he did.
Your Lordship, we are observing a large squadron of Adeptus Mechanicus forces. Many of the ships are badly damaged. Judging by the position of the servants of the Omnissiah, they are divided into 2 groups. I dare say they were fighting not long ago. I am picking up a signal from one of the ships.
The ship is identified as Von Valancius Dynasty vessel. You are being hailed by a representative of the Explorator Cognizance Fleet. Query: is the statement that the Messiah considered fallen has come back true? Is the statement that the cycle will be discontinued true? They wish to know if their fratricidal battle should continue. What do you think I should answer, Valen?
Oh gosh, both of these are pretty rough. I mean, if we go with option 1, it's arguably the more diplomatic option, but also continues the infighting as we're going into the end game to face the real threat. I mean, in either case, people will probably keep dying. The tech priests aren't just going to roll over and accept Ambernaut's new way of doing things. We either forestall the inevitable and they keep picking at each other straight into the epilogue, or we call for a more decisive but admittedly short-term solution, since, I mean, obviously, inevitably, the rest of the Adeptus Mechanicus outside of this sector would eventually want to retake it. But, you know, we've already backed this tech horse, and there's a planet-destroying superweapon in the mix, so... Yes, Ambernaut, the Messiah of Discontinuing, has returned. He calls upon those still loyal to him to put an end to this fighting, to end the cycle of violence and put the schism behind us.
We are picking up an active Vox exchange on encrypted frequencies between the Explorator ships. They are opening fire. They are shooting one another. But a good part of the ships from the same squadron seem to have joined their opponents. This is a slaughter. They have no chance.
The Cognizance Fleet praises the returned Messiah. The hierarchy of command has been restored. Let the cycle be discontinued.
Well, I don't know how to feel about any of that, but, you know, what's done is done. Let's go chat up Pask and maybe get some much-needed context. Yeah, like, see, between those two, I was trying to think of what might happen post-game. And I feel like if we had just posited Pask as a more benign figure, it would ultimately lead to the Adeptus Mechanicus once again getting a foothold post-game and killing him or pushing him out of the sector, which would then put Escados back out in the wild, at least in theory. Well, you know, it is all just guesswork based off what they're feeding me, which may very well be a flawed narrative. Pask? How we doing, bud?
The Amanat Collective never found the time to thank you for your cooperation, Von Valancius. The part you played in achieving the restoration will not be forgotten.
Something ancient and infinitely informed is looking at you from behind the mask that was once Pascal Hanuman's face. His voice is deep, vibrating like a live wire. So that's it then? You're Ambernaut now? You and Abel both?
I am the Messiah of Discontinuing. I am the computing power of 6 righteous souls. Yet I am more than that. Much like a human is more than the sum of their organs. As to whether I am human, I doubt it. I am a data spirit, an incarnation of the answer to the question we pose to the Omnissiah. However, the person you knew will forever remain at the core of my system.
The tech priest narrows his eyes a little, as though smiling behind his respirator. Well, it'll take a while to get used to the new you. I have to admit, I will miss my old friend Pascal.
There is no need. He has not gone anywhere. He has merely evolved. My words are his words as well.
Sure, but also blended with like 4 other people I don't know. So, where do you go from here?
Serve the Omnissiah. The cycle of our lives has been worn down for too long, and I will initiate its renewal. It will be a time of great suffering and great sacrifice, but it thus commands the analysis. The Cognizance fleet is ready to bear the good tidings to the Imperium.
Okay, well, I mean, that sounds a bit more ominous than I'd really like, but, as long as we are sticking to the whole stated goal of helping humanity, you know, I will say, it's definitely given me some strong iconoclast vibes, which I suppose I can't really complain about, because that is very much Valin's deal as well.
But first, I will make good on my obligations towards you. When your enemies have been vanquished, I will part ways with you. But no sooner. Such has been the judgment of the component of mine once known as Pascal.
Sure, I appreciate that. And I do like to think that my goals are ultimately good for humanity as well. So would you say that all this was worth it? Everything that led up to this moment, this collective victory?
All of it was worth it. It is the greatest honor to be the one upon whom the Omnissiah has bestowed his gift. It is the greatest heresy to reject it and allow it to sink into oblivion.
He looks at his hands, on which sparks of destructive green energy are dancing.
Was I afraid? I was. Have I missed the past and my mortal thoughts? I have. Self-sacrifice in the name of divinity must be agonizingly painful, for no catharsis is possible without pain, and no apotheosis is genuine without loss. Forgive me for not being able to put it in any simpler terms, much as I would like to. This is something one must experience in order to comprehend it.
Yeah, I'll bet. You know, who knows? Maybe someday I'll become a god too, and then we'll have a whole bunch to chat about. So how about the new parts of your mind? Are they living up to your expectations?
My assessment of them was correct. Ignorance was remedied. Purity and loyalty were raised to an absolute degree. Kasves the Doubter gave us his skepticism. Lycut the Spirit Talker, his unflinching faith. Logic and paranoia had no names in their past lives, but their minds are sharp and singular.
Hey, nice. So the tech shaman did make the cut, even though he wasn't there with the rest of the group during the cutscene. Fair enough.
As for Abel, the end of our captivity and isolation brought him great joy. Now imagination's speech is open to us again, and is flowing freely.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, I suppose. A small silver lining. So you, decades of planning, erased memories, dozens of potential failure points. You really don't think that there was some better way you could have potentially tackled this whole thing?
If I could show you the web of cause and effect that permeates the world, you would understand. Its threads are so numerous and so densely intertwined that they give density to the very reality around us, and analyzing them is an intricate process indeed. During my great meditation, a statistical probability was revealed to me, which led to this moment in time, and I followed it. As you can see, it has worked.
I mean, yeah, but that was mostly due to my intervention, which you couldn't have possibly planned for. But, fine.
I think you realize yourself that nothing was accidental, especially not our meeting. If I had chosen differently, if I had simplified my way of thinking, who knows at what moment the thread of possibilities would have taken a turn for the dark spaces of the undesirable.
I don't know, man. I just feel like you got lucky. But again, you know, regardless of how we got here we are. I'll leave you to it.
Then I will return to my meditation.
Interesting, interesting. Abel? Yeah, nothing new there. Which I do believe clears our final companion quest and leaves us with just our main narrative to pursue. I suppose I also can't really be too hard on Pask for just trusting in his long-term planning, since obviously, although we do have a great degree of player agency in various ways throughout the campaign, and all of the companions do ultimately have multiple ways to end their personal quests, there are also general recurring themes of, like, predestination. You know, we've got a precog just over yonder, and then, well, technically two. We've got two precogs, both of whom, which have had a long-standing habit of essentially feeding us self-fulfilling prophecies throughout the rest of the campaign. One's just vague enough that they can be interpreted in multiple ways so that they can conform to whichever ending you might ultimately end up achieving. Which is fine. I mean, that's a pretty standard narrative device for many a story. That said, very curious to see what you folks might think about how that all wrapped up. And also, man, I guess that really is it for all the side content. From here on out, we're into the point of no return and Act 5, which I have heard is exceptionally short. So, you know, that said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll probably go ahead and take a full lap around the galaxy again, just to see if there's any other random items that have been added to the various dungeons. I believe patch 1.5 added several that we might be able to go back and pick up now. Though the question, of course, is whether or not they're actually worth our time, but there's only one way to find out. So yes, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of all that, plus the usual off-screen bookkeeping. Make sure we've tied all of our remaining loose ends, and we'll pick up here next time for the beginning of the end. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Gottlieb, Exsellsior, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
My words are his words as well.